Hello, and welcome to the highlights of the Assetto Corsa GT3 Championship, hosted at United Racers League. After 3 rounds, it's German Florian Kotz who holds a 10-point lead over second placeman Robert Horvath. Mihail Markovic and Tony Ukic are tied in 3rd place. In the Teams Championship, only 12 points separate the top 3 teams of MRS GT Racing, Pannonia Racing Team and Reiter Engineering. Round 4 of the 8-race calendar extends the European adventure and takes us to what is described as the most beautiful circuit in the world, Spa Francorchamps. Located deep within the Ardennes forest, designed in 1920, the original 15-kilometre Spa circuit was essentially a speed course, before safety concerns resulted in the layout used of late. We go racing for 25 laps around this 7-kilometre circuit, and the fast corners of Eau Rouge, Radion, Pouhon and Blanchimont will certainly test the driver's ability and courage, the slightest errors here likely to result in a heavy impact. Let's get to the action as we check out the pole sitter's flying lap. Riding on board with Robert Horvath. A short run down to turn 1, La Source. It's one of those corners that entices you to brake late. It can be the scene of lots of contact on the opening lap of the race. Ride the dip as you get perilously close to the wall looking for the apex. Control your exit as you drift out or you'll pick up a penalty if you run wide. Important to get La Source right as you'll carry the momentum for 30 seconds going through Eau Rouge and up to Les Combes. Into Eau Rouge and Radion, which should be taken flat out with a nice smooth line, taking care not to scrub off too much speed. Through Kemmel and up the Kemmel Straight, the car can feel slow as we climb to the highest point of the circuit. Brake at 100 metres and attack the curb, sacrificing the exit for positioning to the left. Easy to drift out wide, but it's important to keep the car to the left to get a clean line through Malmedy and down to Bruxelles. Brake at the entry curb and feed the car in. Patience required here whilst you wait for your exit marker, otherwise you'll run too wide and compromise the next corner and following straight. Into 11, hooking up the curb on apex and exit for the run downhill towards Pouhon. One of Spa's finest, although the entry is far from easy. Lift or brake for entry, trying hard not to unsettle the car on the apex curb. Accelerate when you hit the curb, and allow the car to drift out when you exit the second apex. Another straight leads us to the medium speed right-left of Fagnier. You can brake late into the right, taking a lot of speed into the corner and trail braking to the late apex. Pick up the curb and follow it before flicking the car left. Don't be tempted to accelerate too early as you'll go wide on exit and onto the AstroTurf. Next up Campus and we're heading home. Don't turn in too early as the ideal apex is late. Look for the exit curb, taking care not to get caught in one of Spa's only gravel traps. Full throttle now on the run up to the bus stop chicane. Through Blanchimont, which is flat out, but people will try and overtake if you've had a bad run out of Campus. Into the chicane where you'll be braking from 270 to about 65 km per hour. Brake in a straight line and be sure to take as much of the red and yellow curb as you can, without getting your wheels on the red sausage curb. Not too much curb on the second apex as to increase traction out and down onto the start-finish straight. Let's take a look at the full starting grid. Robert Horvath starts on pole position, the Hungarian with 25 kilograms of ballast after his strong showing in the championship so far. Alongside him on the front row is Peter Abelovsky. Peter has 5 kg success ballast from the outset. Championship leader Florian Kotz will start the race carrying an extra 40 kg of success ballast. We welcome back to the grid after an arm injury for his first GT3 race of the season. It's Season 1 champ Reinhard Berger. Croatian Tony Ukic has 20 kg extra in the Nissan Nismo. Belgian Miguel Santiago Corrao in the Belgium Audi Team R8 will be looking for an impressive showing in his home race. Angelo Giudici also joins us on the grid today at Spa, the Italian driving the number 12 Ferrari 488 alongside Reinhard for Kessel Racing Team. We also welcome Rob Timpen to the grid at Spa, the Dutchman competing in his first GT3 race at URL today. So can anyone challenge the early season domination of the Camaros and Nissans? Or can Florian make it 3 wins out of 3 starts? Lots to play for as we head down to the grid. It's lights out at Spa. and the field look like they've initially got away without incident. The Camaros are away well, and it's Robert Horvath who holds on to the lead going into the first corner. Often the scene of many accidents, the drivers negotiate the source very cleanly for the first time. Coming down to Eau Rouge for the first time, will anyone be brave enough to make a pass into the sweeping right? Through Eau Rouge and Radion, and it's the two Pannoni Racing Team cars that lead the way. Peter's got a good run on Robert going up the Kemmel Straight and pulls out to make the pass. Their teammates side by side as they head up to Le Cons. Nothing in it as they head into the right. Peter takes a lead going through the left. And there's contact and both drivers are off into the grass. That hands Florian Kotz the lead as the drivers head through Fagnier for the first time. Approaching the bus stop chicane, and it's the number 44 car of Florian that leads from Frenchman Gregory Olivier in the Nissan. It's Reinhard followed by Tony, then the two Team 87 cars are well up. There's a BMW with a wheel on the grass under braking, very fortunate not to be a bigger incident there. So at the end of lap 1, it's Florian Kotz that leads the field, Gregory Olivier is in second, Reinhard Berger third. Fourth is Tony, whose car just snaps going into La Source. Fifth is Simon Fillingham. Sixth, Mitchell Smith. Seventh, Manlio Liguori. Eighth, Ivan Gridello. The elevation change through Eau Rouge is clear from this camera angle. Even close behind the recovered Peter. We ride on board with Angelo. Trying to keep out the way, he's unfortunately tagged by Peter and Tony into the barrier and will be unfortunately the end of his race. After his first lap incident with Robert, Peter in the 34 Camaro is fighting his way back through the field. A good run out of Pouon takes him past Peter Backus in the Mercedes. On board again with Angelo as he tries to follow Peter through, on the same line. Peter's able to close the door though as they exit Fagnier. Coming to the end of lap 2, and it's the German that's beginning to stretch the lead back to Gregory. Into the bus stop and the Frenchman spins from P2. Gregory rejoins in 5th place behind Mitchell Smith. The rest of the field stream through as they aim to complete lap 2. Sando Donadel getting the chicane wrong there and will most likely pick up a warning. Remember, it's 5 cut warnings, then a drive-through penalty. Manlio in the green Lamborghini has got Miguel right behind him through Radion, and there's either slight contact or Miguel loses it on the curbs. Seconds later and Havoye does the same thing, the Nissan having a much heavier impact. How that wasn't the scene of a massive pile-up I'll never know. We join the battle for 12th place between Robert, Angelo, Miguel, Valère and Sando, with Peter Backus just ahead too. On board with Valère as we go through Fagnier. Into Campus, taking care not to run wide. Miguel goes wide on the exit, which will slow him down and give Valère the opportunity to initiate the pass. The Frenchman has the momentum to take the position. Closing in on Angelo now, in the 488 heading into Blanchimont. A good run out of the fast left will be able to attack down into the bus stop. Angelo defends, forcing Valère out wide. The Ferrari successfully defends the corner and keeps the BMW behind. Miguel wastes no time in attacking back, and with good traction out of the hairpin, attacks Valère down the start-finish straight. Who's going to be best on the brakes going into La Source? It looks like Angelo's held his position, but runs a little wide on exit. Will that give the impetus to Valère or Miguel? It's Valère who comes out in front on the run down to Eau Rouge. Miguel tucks right under the bumper of Angelo. All through Radillon safely, and Sando Donadel joins the tussling trio. Up Kemmel Straight, is anyone able to take advantage of a tow? Yes, and it's Sando who manages to get the jump on Miguel into Le Combs. But Miguel takes a position back through Malmedy. Brilliant racing between these drivers. Further up the field now, it's the end of lap 4, and Gregory is applying pressure on Mitchell in the Ferrari. Mitchell currently in 4th place. Looking back from the Ferrari now as we head down to La Source. The Frenchman not close enough to try a move into the hairpin. Greg Metcalf in the BMW keeping a close eye on proceedings. Heading down to Eau Rouge, the Nissan looks in prime position for an overtake. We cut back to Hungarian Peter Abelovsky, who continues to make his move through the field. The Camaro powers past the Lamborghini and is up to 7th place. A lap later and he's on the tail of Greg Metcalf. Heading up to Blanchimont, will he be able to make the same move? There's no way through round the outside of Greg there, and Peter runs wide, no doubt picking up a warning. Into lap 7, and it's still Florian who leads from the 3 Ferraris of Reinhard, Simon and Mitchell, who managed to stay ahead of Gregory. Reinhard having a great run here in his first race back after a 6-week absence. A welcome sight to see Reinhard back on the grid and racing here at United Racers League. Miguel now, who's managed to get in front of Valère, heading into Eau Rouge. The Belgian's car unsettled on the curb and sends Miguel spinning into the trap, where he clips the rear end of the BMW, which causes Valère to spin and a heavy impact into the barriers. The top of Eau Rouge, often the scene of many heavy accidents, and unfortunately, that will be the end of the race for both drivers. Peter now with good momentum through Kemmel, pulls alongside Greg in the BMW, and the Englishman is powerless but to let the flying Camaro past. Peter up to 6th. Same place the next lap, and the Hungarian is hunting down the Nissan. Peter perfectly positioned in the slipstream of Gregory. Gregory moves to the inside to defend. But Peter makes it stick round the outside, and the Frenchman is forced off through the left of Les Combs, which hands Greg in the BMW a position 2. Gregory down to P7. Peter's charging through the field now, a few corners later into Blanchimont, and he powers past Australian Mitchell Smith. We pick up the battle for 9th between Manlio Liguori and Ivan Gridello. The 2 Italians enjoying a close battle here at Spa. Ivan looks to be in a good position up Kemmel. Is he close enough to make a move into Les Combs? Manlio manages to keep his Lamborghini in front. The second Pannonia Racing Team car of Robert Horvath, also making his way back through the field, closes in on Gregory through Les Combs. Not the best line by the Frenchman, and Robert gets passed through Malmedy. Simon Fillingham having a strong race in the Team 87 Ferrari. Currently in 3rd, but Peter is fast closing him down. After a disappointing race at Silverstone, Simon will be desperate for some good points here. Even still tucked up behind the Lamborghini's bumper, but can't find a way past into the bus stop. A slight slide from Manlio opens a door for Even. but Manlio's quick to react and holds on to the position. Peter Backus having a quiet race in 11th, and the BMW of Fabrizio also not seeing much action. On to Kemmel again, and Even is right in the slipstream of Manlio. Even looks to the inside, but can't make inroads on the Lamborghini. These two having quite a race. Peter now applying pressure on Simon into Fagné. On board with Peter as we go through the right-left chicane. Down into Campus, important for the Ferrari to get a good exit to defend against the Camaro's power. But Simon goes a little hot into the corner and puts a wheel in the gravel on exit. That appears to have sealed Simon's fate, as the Chevrolet stretches its legs on the run up to Blanchimont. Peter with an amazing recovery drive, now up to 3rd. Robert now up to 6th, looks to close in on Greg on the run up to the bus stop. Robert looks to the inside, but Greg is good under braking and manages to stave off the Hungarian. The two continue their battle through Eau Rouge. Can Robert get Greg up to Les Combes? On board with Steely Greg, as Robert pulls alongside and takes the position into the chicane. Sando Donadel heading into Les Combes now. Was involved in a nice battle earlier, but seems to be running alone now. Fabrizio in the BMW gets unsettled on the curb coming out of Blanchimont, which sends the Italian into a slide, and is lucky to escape. Still, Even looks for a way past Manlio. The Audi just doesn't seem to get close enough to the Lamborghini to mount a substantial challenge. The countrymen continue their battle. Robert, in his fashionable helmet, closes in on the Team 87 Ferrari of Mitchell Smith. Robert shows to the inside on the run down to Bruxelles. Mitchell runs a little wide, and Robert grasps his opportunity. Robert up to 6th. Simon next in line for the 35 Camaro. However, it's Robert and Mitchell who make the first pit stops of the race. Can the Ferrari crew get Mitchell out in front of Robert? Even now as close as he's ever been to the back of the Lamborghini. Through Radion and into Kemmel. Surely now Even can get a significant tow. It appears Even has moved out of the slipstream too soon and is giving away valuable speed. And still Manlio keeps him at bay. Tyres changed, fuel added, and Robert emerges in front of Mitchell. It looks like Fabrizio Micheli is in the pits too. Sando Donadel comes past on track. A strong Italian presence in the GT3 field this season. Race leader Florian Kotz into the pits at the end of lap 13, followed by Reinhard from position 2. Peter Abelovsky also decides it's time for some fresh rubber. Second Team 87 Ferrari to pit, it's Simon Fillingham from P4. With the top 5 in the pits or already pitted, Greg Metcalfe comes through to take the lead of the race. In the distance, Manlio Liguori also pits to set even 3. Gregory Olivier in second. Ivan Gridello comes through in third, as Florian exits the pits. Second and third exit the pits, and it's still Reinhard who holds the advantage. It appears Peter Backus is serving the drive-through penalty, just as Simon exits his pit box. On track, Robert Horvath is fast approaching La Source. Simon exits the pits and Robert has managed to perform the undercut beautifully. Simon, now behind the Mercedes of Peter, will be looking to get past the Slovakian soon. It's Robert, Peter, Simon, Mitchell. The Ferrari, with a good run out of Eau Rouge, closes up on the Mercedes. Peter stays to the inside, showing Simon the outside. Simon looks to have good momentum, but can Peter fight back up Kemmel? Into the braking zone and Peter goes too deep, and Simon on his new tyres is able to make it stick and take the position. Even now looking to get in a fast lap to try and eventually jump Manlio. Into the right of Fagné, and even gets a wheel on the curb, which results in a spin. On board with Gregory now in second position, Greg the leader up ahead. End of lap 14 and they both decide to pit. Into lap 15 and Peter's looking good for an attempt on Reinhard. We briefly cut back to the pits to see what's happening there. It looks like the Nissan crew has done a better job and has been able to get their man out in front of the BMW. Unless there was any extra work we didn't know about, that'll be disappointing for Greg. We rejoin the battle for P2. Peter, with a good exit from Radion, lines up Reinhard for a pass up the Kemmel Straight, the Ferrari offering little defence to the Camaro. The German tucks in behind Peter, who is now up to second. Fabrizio, in the Mark VDS Racing Team BMW, has an easy pass on Sando into the bus stop chicane. Sando peels off into the pits, which explains why he was slowing. So on lap 16, it's the German Florian Kotz who leads the race. After being nearly last on lap 1, it's Hungarian Peter Abelovsky who has made his way up to second. In third is Reinhard Berger in the number 11 Ferrari. In fourth, it's Hungarian Robert Horvath. In fifth, the first of the Team 87 Ferraris, Simon Fillingham. Not far behind him, it's the second Team 87 car of Australian Mitchell Smith. After his leap in the pit lane, Frenchman Gregory Olivier in 7th place. Englishman Greg Metcalfe is 8th. Manlio Liguori is in 9th. A lot further back than he was after his mistake, it's Italian Ivan Gridello in 10th place. Slovakian Peter Backus comes through in 12th for Team AKKA. 13th in the number 25 BMW is Italian Fabrizio Micheli. An Italian in a Ferrari, it's Angelo Giudici in 13th for Kessel Racing. In 14th it's another Italian, this time it's Sando Donadel for the Belgian Audi team in 14th. Into lap 18 and it's the two Team 87 Ferraris of Simon Fillingham and Mitchell Smith that are keeping a steady gap back to Gregory Olivier, Greg Metcalfe and Manlio Liguori. These drivers sure to be involved in more battles throughout the season. Gregory slightly wide on the exit of Blanchimont, unsettles the car and slides onto the grass. A scary high-speed incident there for the Frenchman, which has allowed Greg to close right up. Out of the bus stop, and Greg tries the overtake up the inside of Gregory. The Nissan's acceleration helps keep Gregory in front going into La Source. Gregory put in a great time in qualification to start 4th on the grid. He's managed to pull out a small gap to Greg, which should keep him out of his slipstream. Up Kemmel Straight and positions 5 to 9 are evenly spaced. Fabrizio keeping the pressure applied on Peter, who was a major doubt before the race with steering wheel issues. German Florian Kotz still in command of the race, as Sando moves wide to let the German through. Angelo Giudici has gone deep into the race before pitting, as Florian comes through to lap the Italian. The Camaro driver comes through to start his 20th lap. Mitchell still in 6th, but possibly the gap has closed a little to Gregory behind. Going along nicely in 4th is Robert Horvath in the Camaro, sporting his lovely helmet. Sando gets out of the way of the charging Mitchell, whose gap to Gregory is definitely closing, the Australia beginning to be put under pressure. With just over 4 laps to go, can Mitchell hold on? Sando into the pits for a late stop. But for whatever reason decides to retire the car. Through Fagnier and Gregory is on the limit. Into lap 22 and the gap is down to about a second. Through Eau Rouge and into the Kemmel Straight, where the Nissan will have a definite power advantage. Into Le Combes and the gap's down to about half a second. Lap 23 and Gregory is still behind Mitchell. Through Eau Rouge and the Frenchman will have another go up Kemmel Straight. On board now as Gregory desperately tries to get in the slipstream of Mitchell. The Ferrari just about managing to keep the gap though. Gregory closing under braking. A little wobble on the exit curb of Buxell will compromise Gregory's line into the next turn. Up to Blanchimont and Mitchell still managing to keep the half a second gap back to Gregory. Through Eau Rouge and Radion we go again, time running out for the Frenchman to make a move. Gregory into Le Combes. And has a little wobble on the exit of the left, which puts him high onto the curb and gives Mitchell valuable breathing space. That should be enough gap now to keep the Frenchman at bay. The final lap now, Robert in the Camaro has closed the gap to Reinhard in 3rd, but the German should be able to hold on to the finish line. The gap down to less than a second, but it's German Florian Kotz in the number 44 Reiter Engineering Camaro, who's led from the end of lap 1 to finish in 1st place. 5.5 seconds behind, it's the first of the Pannonia Racing Team cars, as Hungarian Peter Abalowski brings his car home 2nd. German Reinhard Berger will be satisfied with his 3rd place finish after a fine drive in his first race of the season. Just behind, Hungarian Robert Horvath has recovered well to bring the 2nd Pannonia Racing Team car home in 4th place. Brit Simon Fillingham had a quiet but solid race and crosses the line 5th in the Team 87 Ferrari. Australian Mitchell Smith was able to withstand the pressure of Gregory and brings the second Team 87 Ferrari home in 6th place. A good show by the Team 87 drivers today after what has been a tricky start to the season. Gregory Olivier was unfortunately not able to capitalise on his strong qualifying performance, home in 7th place. A quiet race by the Englishman's standards, who is usually in the thick of the action. Greg Metcalf brings his Hubert Motorsport BMW home in 8th place. 4 seconds back from Greg, it's Italian Manlio Liguori crossing the line in 9th place for Grasser Racing Team. After being so close, Italian Ivan Gridello in the Centerlock R8 Audi finishes 30 seconds behind fellow Italian Manlio. A further 13 seconds back, it's Slovakian Peter Backus, who brings the Mercedes AMG home in 11th place. Italian Fabrizio Micheli in the Mark VDS Racing Team BMW crosses the line to finish 12th, 10 seconds behind Peter. And congratulations to Italian Angelo Guidici, who completed his debut race here at URL in 13th place for the Kessel Racing Team. Let's take a look at the full results. After the first lap incident involving the two Pannonia Racing Team cars, it was Florian Kotz who took his third victory of the season. Peter Abelovsky brought his Camaro home in second after a brilliant recovery drive. Reinhard Berger, in his first race of the season, made it onto the third step of the podium in the Ferrari. But there was drama after the race. The stewards found Robert Horvath and Gregory Olivier guilty of not taking a drive-through penalty imposed on them for exceeding track limits. Robert and Gregory were subsequently disqualified from the results. This meant that 5th and 6th place were promoted 1 position, while position 8th to 14th were promoted 2 places. So what does this mean in the driver standings? The revised results mean that Robert received just 1 championship point for his pole position lap. Florian Kotz extends his lead to 20 points over Robert. Mihail Markovic, who was absent today, remains in 3rd place. In the Teams Championship, Team 87 were top scorers of the day with 26 points for their 4th and 5th place finish. Pannonia Racing Team have taken the lead in the championship, but close rivals Reiter Engineering has reduced the gap to just 5 points. MRS GT Racing, who were leading the championship, are now in 3rd place in a closely contested championship. The league now heads into a mid-season break, but join us for round 5 of the Season 3 calendar, which takes us to the challenging circuit of Bathurst, Australia. Subscribe to SIM-onTV for highlights of future races, and head on over to UnitedRacersLeague.com to join in the fun.